It's Money in the Bank 2024 and the show kicks off with the men fighting over the coveted briefcase. It's completely wild as always, with bodies flying everywhere. They're using every single piece of weaponry available, and each man in this match could easily be the next man up to be the breakout star, including Andrade and Santos, who have recent history and they're doing everything they can to scratch and claw their way to victory. But as Andrade forces Santos off the ladder, his opportunity is thwarted by another next man up, and it's Carmelo Hayes, and he brutally drops Andrade off the ladder and onto another one. But he's then grabbed by Chad Gable, and he's suplexed out of the ring and through a table. And it gives Gable the chance to climb, but he's quickly grabbed by Drew McIntyre, who pulls him off the ladder and delivers a swift Glasgow kiss. And then he tosses him all the way to the outside. But Jey Uso is there now, and he's fighting with Drew to try and claim the prize. But the whole match gets stopped in its tracks. And it's left Jey Uso worried about what's happening. He doesn't know if he's next. But one man not taking his eyes off the prize is Drew McIntyre, who drills him with a Claymore. He hammers Andrade on the outside with a Claymore as well. And Escobar can't escape as he's on the receiving end. And now the crowd realise it's time. Drew is going to take his moment. AJ Lee, the wife of CM Punk, rushes over and takes the bracelet off McIntyre that he stole from her husband. And she leaves just in time for McIntyre to have to lay there broken and see Carmelo Hayes take his moment. He pulls down the case. It's a huge step in his young career, leaving Drew McIntyre once again nothing but pure rage. But it's the man he beat at WrestleMania who we see next, and he's preparing for what could be his last shot at the World Championship for a while. Because if he loses, he's not allowed to challenge for the title while Damian Priest holds it. But a man who doesn't have to worry about such stipulations is Bron Breakker, who has his first shot at a main roster championship when he comes up against the ultimate underdog, Sami Zayn. Zayn has had some impressive defenses, but none tougher than the challenge of Breakker, who is demanding the spotlight since arriving, and this is no different. He's throwing Sami Zayn around everywhere, and he's literally throwing him into the ring post, which destroys his ribs. Breakker is the perfect blend of power and speed, and he shows it in abundance. But Sami is tough, he's resilient, and he's never going to go down without a fight. He stops at nothing, and he flies through the turnbuckle and lands the DDT on the floor. He throws Breakker into the ring then. He's completely rocked, and he stumbles over to the corner, and Zayn smashes him with a haluva kick, and he gets the cover. The one, the two, but Breakker kicks out. Sami can't believe it, but he can't afford to slow down either. And he puts him up in the corner, and he readies himself in the opposite one. He launches off, he looks for another, but Breakker moves. He kicks the leg of Zayn, which sends him off balance, and he gets drilled in the ribs with a spear, and he makes the cover. But no! This time, it's Sami Zayn that kicks out and shows the heart. But this just pisses Breakker off. And he screams into the air, and as Sami is struggling to keep up, Breakker explodes off the ropes, one after the other, and boom! One final blow. Zayn is taken out, surely with shattered ribs. And just like that, Breakker has broken Sami Zayn, and we have a brand new Intercontinental Champion. And the first two matches of this PLE have ushered in a new era of superstar. But as Breakker is celebrating his championship win, Priest is backstage readying for his defense. And he's asked Judgment Day to leave the building, even though his spot in the group and his championship is on the line later tonight. He believes that Judgment Day need him more than he needs them. But it's not a member of the group he needs to worry about. Hey Damian, I just wanted to wish you luck in your match tonight. You know, I've been pretty handy to have around, haven't I? But you've been pretty mean. Not Dom though. Dom helped me retain my title. And actually, so did Finn and JD. The same guys you asked not to be at ringside tonight. Sure would be a shame if you lost your title. Which means you'd lose Judgment Day. And that would leave the group with no Rhea or Damian. That'd be a big gap to fill. Interesting. Oh well. Bye. Liv Morgan is an ominous presence. She's seemingly dividing the Judgment Day in Rhea Ripley's absence. But one man who is never absent is Cody Rhodes, and he's readying to head out for his huge 6-man tag team match against the Bloodline. And he catches up with his partners before they head out the curtain. Boys, tonight, we try and stop this new Bloodline before it even starts. But obviously, there's 3 of us and there's 4 of them, so we need to be on our game. Now I've made a call and I don't know how it's going to pan out, so if the numbers get too much, we should be okay. Well, let's go. Let's do this. There isn't much more bad blood than what there is in this match. Solo Sikoa has assembled an incredibly lethal band of soldiers, and they go to work on Kevin Owens. They isolate him well, and they really soften him up. But Orton manages to get in the match and even it up, getting his own in too, which gives the opening for Cody to get his shots in as well. But as suspected, the numbers game start to take effect. Jacob Fatu starts getting involved at ringside, constantly getting cheap shots in on both Orton and Kevin Owens. But then we get the classic Bloodline ref bump. As expected, it all comes apart. Fatu really starts going to work, and he's got Cody on the outside of the ring, and he's beating away on him and driving him into the floor until the call Cody made comes through. Jimmy Uso is back, and he isn't here to help this version of the Bloodline. He's here for revenge on them, and he has spears for Tonga Loa, and he has one for Tama Tonga, dropping them where they stand. He nails Solo with a brutal super kick to the jaw, and then one to the back of the head as well. And then he turns his attention to Jacob Fatu. He leaps to the outside to wipe him out, or so he thinks, because Fatu just brushes it off, and he throws Jimmy Uso into the stairs. And now Orton is here. He looks for an RKO, but no, Fatu reverses, drops him down, and then nails him with a super kick. And he drives him into the barricade, and he looks for more pain. Cody tries, but he gets shut down by Fatu as well, who is just decimating the field. Owens tries to attack, but Fatu brushes him off and hammers him with a Samoan drop all the way to the floor. He sends him back into the ring as Kevin Owens is the legal man, but Owens is left hurt and at the mercy of the other legal man, Solo Sikoa, who lands a giant Samoan spike, and he wins the match for the Bloodline. Fatu is the difference, and the numbers, even though even, weren't enough. Now they turn their attention to one of their own. Jimmy is loaded onto the announce table as Fatu waits. Just like Cody, he gets driven through with a massive splash. And despite a distressed-looking Paul Heyman, who has quite clearly lost control looking on, this vicious new Bloodline stands tall. But Heyman isn't the only one watching on. Jey Uso, who narrowly lost the briefcase earlier, is still casting an eye over what's happening. What will his next move be? Can he just watch on as his family goes to war like this? Or will he have to step in? Well, speaking of war, another man from the men's Money in the Bank match storms into the shot, looking to continue a war of his own. Sending your wife to do your dirty work? You f***ing coward. I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna destroy everything you've ever loved. Everything. McIntyre is furious, and he leaves the building entirely to go and find Punk. But we now need to find out who will be Miss Money in the Bank, and the match is every bit as chaotic as the men's earlier. There's high spot after high spot. These women bring the heat. Tiffany Stratton shows out with her usual breakneck offense, wiping out as many as she can in her path. But things get even more intense when Lyra Valkyria and Naomi are slugging it out on top of the ladder, trying to grab the briefcase. But they're both dragged down by Dakota Kai and Io Sky. They're both working together, of course, as part of Damage Control, and together they dispatch Lyra and Naomi, and then they both climb the ladder. But this is where the predicament is. Who grabs the case? They stare at each other. Who is going to cave first? Well, it's no one, because the ladder gets shoved over and they both crash and burn to the outside. And it leaves one person left in the match to grab it. And almost just by default, it's Chelsea Green. She rushes around and sets up the ladder while the crowd is going berserk. They all want to see it. Chelsea scales the ladder and she has her hands on the briefcase. Nia Jax, she's not even in the match, and she crushes Chelsea's hopes, both figuratively and literally. And then she goes to the outside and she picks up Tiffany Stratton and puts her in the ring. Stratton can't believe it. This union they have has paid ultimate dividends. Nia is on the outside, swatting everyone away, and it opens the door for the clock to strike. And the time that it reads is Tiffy time. Stratton is the new Miss Money in the Bank, and the future is genuinely now within WWE. Not just with Stratton, but also her fellow Money in the Bank winner, Carmelo Hayes, who is celebrating his win backstage, and he's asked all about it, and he says, "I've been telling people for years, Melo don't miss, and tonight is no different. And speaking of not missing, I will not be missing the main event between Seth Rollins and Damian Priest, and I certainly didn't miss Cody earlier. I've got my eyes on everyone, and I mean everyone." LA Knight, walking past for his match, interrupts and says, "Congrats, kid. You did something. Finally. Now watch me go and do something, like putting down that phony Logan Paul. And you'll be looking at the new US champ with everybody saying..." Oh, I'll be watching, LA. I'll be watching real close. LA Knight wouldn't take no for an answer, and he's got his match. These two have been in each other's face for a while now, and we can finally see it. But Logan is not willing to let Knight have his own way, and he avoids him. He frustrates him, getting on the verge of countouts by simply just leaving the ring while Knight tries to call him on. He's trying to take the cheap way out of fighting him. That is until LA Knight catches him off guard and takes control. Logan has learned a lot in his short time in wrestling, but he's not as experienced as Knight, and it shows. Knight is savvy, and he turns the match in his favor, and Logan is struggling big time now. But after somehow eking out a massive buckshot lariat, Logan knows he needs an edge. Takes off the turnbuckle pad, but he's knowing full well that the referee can see it. He's trying to get disqualified, but the ref does not DQ him. He just tries to fix it. But this opens the chance for Logan. He throws LA Knight to the outside, and from under the ring is Ice Show Speed. And he's got a bottle of Prime in his hand, and he throws it at LA Knight, and it stuns Knight, and Logan has a bottle of Prime as well. He takes a drink, and he spits it into the face of LA Knight, and it temporarily blinds him, and he sends him back into the ring, and he lands the devastating right hand. dropping the megastar just in time for the referee to turn around and make the count. Logan Paul steals another one. It's as underhanded as it gets, but it's a win nonetheless. He snatches his title from the referee, and the celebration can begin with speed. But it barely lasts because LA Knight is recovered and he bursts in and he smashes Speed and he takes out Logan as well, hammering him with fists, and then ultimately a BFT. Knight is clearly nowhere near done with Logan, and the issue is far from settled. But it causes a whole other issue, because as promised, Carmelo Hayes has kept an eye out, and now he's coming down to the ring. And he stops to look at Knight, and Knight is saying, I dare you, go and take it from him so I can take it from you. Melo leaves Knight, he gets to ringside, but Logan is up. And Melo says, head on a swivel, Logan. When I strike, I won't miss. I'm watching everyone. Melo leaves through the crowd with a distinct warning shot fired. And with a case in play and the unknown of Liv Morgan, with Judgment Day status and the World Championship on the line, the stakes for the main event couldn't be higher. The newly returned Seth Rollins taking on El Campeon, Damian Priest. Rollins is determined to get himself back to the top of the mountain after his time off, and Priest wants to further solidify his reign. Priest throws it all at Seth. He nails him with a razor's edge for the tightest of 2.9s. And Seth is staying alive, but it feels like this could be Priest's to lose. And he's calling him to his feet. He wants to end him, which would mean Seth can never challenge for the title again while Priest holds it. But Priest can't hit a south of heaven, and Seth counters with a revolution knee. But Seth goes down clutching that knee. It seems he might have tweaked it. He's perhaps rushed back too early. Well, while this would usually bring out Judgment Day, they're not even in the building. They've been told to stay away by Priest, but that doesn't include Liv Morgan. She strolls out while both men are down, but who is she going to help? She's been assisting the Judgment Day, but it's been against the orders of Damian Priest. And Liv gets to ringside and grabs Damian's World Championship. And she seems to be walking off with it. Damian is now up and screaming at her to stay out of it. She's distracting him. She's working against him. And Seth is back up and he's gonna take advantage.
Judgment Day, they need me a whole lot more
than Damian Priest needs them.
Neither of you appreciate family. We do. We hold them close, because you never know when they might go away. Don't forget us. But don't forget them.